the place I'd start is by saying Jesus was a Jew. He grew up in his own context. And so if we want to understand Jesus, we need to understand him in relation to his heritage, and the story that he entered into. And there's this is people spend lifetimes and they don't feel they've gotten more than scratching the surface on really trying to understand Jesus in this way. But in his context, he shows up and he tells people what you have been waiting for. You've pushed off into the future. It wasn't going to heaven when they die, by the way. What they were waiting for was their liberation from Roman oppression. And the first thing I'd say is the word salvation in the Hebrew scriptures did not mean going to heaven when you die or having your original sin forgiven. Original sin was a concept that no Jew has ever held. So when they what they were waiting for was liberation, and that word salvation actually means liberation. Its original meaning comes in the story of Exodus, when the Jewish people are liberated from slavery. So salvation means being set free, and very specifically, it means being set free from unjust, oppressive, evil, harmful systems. So Jesus comes along and says, I want you to rethink everything. That's what repent means. It doesn't mean feel guilty. It means, we use terms like have a paradigm shift, deconstruct your whole worldview, rethink everything. It's very, very deep.
Yes.
And I want you to rethink everything, because what you've been waiting for, the idea that God can liberate us, is at hand right now. But then he does all kinds of interesting things to say, but what you're thinking about might be a military victory over Rome. Right. And he said, I'd like to propose a different way this happens. You don't have to defeat your enemies. You don't have to be, when they're violent, you don't have to respond with violence. And that whole thing about turning the other cheek is really at the heart of what we now call nonviolent resistance. It's a saying, you don't just capitulate, but you also don't respond to violence with violence. And he offers this way of living in the world where we can live with liberation now.